Hello everyone, it's Yolanda Cox-Bey, and we are recording episode 7 of my summer car ride series. Hey, and guess what? 7 is completion, so I think this is going to be it. So who better to have than Kristal Boone of Boone Law? And guess what we're going to talk about? Estate planning. So if you guys have come to my buyer seminars, I've always had my friend Kristal Boone here of Boone Law, and we're going to talk about estate planning 101. All the things that we know that we should do that we may not have acted on. A lot of times people think that estate planning is for the wealthy or for the elderly, but if you are 18 years or older, you should have an estate plan, right? So Kristal of Boone Law, welcome to my summer car ride series, my fancy studio.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's real intimate.
Yes.
I don't mind that though.
The beauty of it. Good thing we know each other, right? So we can lean in.
Yes.
All right.
No, this is fun. I'll start by saying that I have to give the disclaimer, my legal disclaimer, that this is just for informational purposes. This isn't legal advice. I always recommend that you go see an attorney. If you're interested in estate planning. Yolanda, where do I look? Where do I look?
Right
Just
there,
right there.
just
Okay.
keep looking. I love
Y'all
it.
forgive me if I'm like all over the place. So.
She thought we were live, y'all. I love it. See, this is the organic love that I love about my summer car ride series.
Yes.
So we're just going to talk about Kristal kicking it off, and I know you have told some of my home buyers about the difference between a will and an estate plan.
Okay.
What is that?
So a will is part of an estate plan, and I'll talk about the components of an estate plan. So the basic components of an estate plan are the will, your general power of attorney, and your healthcare directive. Now, within or in addition to that, you can also do a revocable living trust, which is something a lot of people probably heard about, and I get questions a lot about. But the basics, your foundation, you want to make sure you have a will in place, and your power of attorney, and your healthcare directive.
Okay, because this is basically giving you as while you're in life peace of mind, and it helps you to fulfill your wishes. So Kristal, what I understand with your estate plan and what it's going to help you to cover decisions such as your money, properties that you may own if you have investment properties, or even your primary home, medical care, dependent care, and all of that can be included in those documents and those directives, right?
Yeah, so more specifically, so the will deals with like end of life.
Okay.
So disposition of your assets at the end of life. And then your power of attorney documents and healthcare directive are while you're still living.
Yes. Okay.
So if you're incapacitated,
yes.
appointing somebody to step in and make those decisions for you.
And so that's the dependent care part of it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so now that you have that, and just say we talked about the documents. I don't want to skip too far ahead. I was going to talk about maybe like probate and what that looks like, and why it's important to have an estate plan over a will, and how that helps you to get through probate, or do you need to go through probate?
Yeah, so it depends on the type of planning that you do.
Okay.
And so when you do planning in advance, you have options, right? You can make that decision. So if you don't plan, meaning if you don't have a will in place, the state will make a decision for you in terms of how your assets are distributed.
Okay.
But yeah, there's also things you can do to avoid probate if that is important to you. So a revocable living trust planning is one of those things you can do to bypass probate. And I have actually a lot of clients these days wanting to do that option just because they want to simplify that process. But outside of that, you just probate the will. Davidson County, it's not so bad. Williamson County is even easier, but it is a process. I mean, it takes about a year, at least a year, to get through
Probate. Oh my. But if you have an estate plan already in place.
Yeah, now the will is part of the estate plan.
Okay.
But you can do trust planning is part of that.
Yes.
To bypass the probate process.
That's the part.
Yeah.
Okay, so the word is trust planning.
Yeah.
See, we have to use our verbiage and our keywords correctly. And that's why we're here.
Yes.
Estate planning 101.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a lot of things. A lot of people don't want to get hung up and take that year going through probate.
Yeah.
But if you have the plan in place, then that will help you to move things along.
Yes.
And not cause so much I guess stress, if you will, or give even your loved ones peace of mind, like we said, to fulfill those wishes that you have laid out in this plan.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to be the executor and go through that process. You have to pay the attorney. You got to get an attorney involved because you can't probate without an attorney.
Okay.
So you have to pay for that. And you want to at least have a will. You don't want to die and not have a will.
At least have a will.
Yeah.
Okay, at bare minimum.
Yeah, you at least want to have a will. Because that will simplify the probate process.
Okay, yes.
And then, if you plan ahead, you can even bypass the probate process.
All right.
Yeah.
So you brought up one thing that I wanted to talk about. I called it a trustee, but you are also calling it an executor.
Yeah, so that's the person who is responsible for overseeing your probate estate.
Okay.
Through your will.
Okay.
Now, the trustee is the person you appoint to oversee your trust in the trust agreement.
Yes. Good. So any misunderstandings about estate planning, that when you do meet and make an appointment with her to find out more about this, what are some misunderstandings that you've had to dispel or uncover or get straight with some of your clients as they come? Because we all love to Google, and then we come to the subject matter expert and we're like, no, that's not how that goes.
Yeah, so what I hear a lot is that people think they don't have anything. So they don't think they have anything, so that they don't need to do any planning. And so, but that's rarely the case. And it's not only about having something to pass on, but it's about you having a say in who gets what you do have, appointing the executor, making these decisions in advance so that other people don't have to come in and make the decisions, so that you can cut down on confusion and conflict that can happen in those situations with family members.
Family quarrels. Fighting over mama's ring and mama's china and all of that stuff.
So making those decisions on the front end to cut down on all of that. Another thing, I get a lot of just misunderstanding about trust and how revocable living trusts work. A lot of people confuse irrevocable trust and revocable trust and the function of them. And so they're very different things, very different purposes. And there's a lot of confusion around that.
So is there a quick snippet of the difference between the two?
Well, in the name, a revocable trust is the one you can change and amend, and that's the most popular trust that is usually part of somebody's estate plan.
And quite opposite is
the irrevocable trust, and that's when you're trying to get assets out of your name. But you got to keep in mind that you need to own the asset if you're wanting to put it in an irrevocable trust.
So all of those 401ks, investments, and all of that can be coupled with your revocable trust. It included, because that's an asset in all your finances and documents and all of that.
So it all depends on the type of planning and your goals. And so what I do with my clients is that, I collect all that information and we put together a plan.
She has a questionnaire that she'll send to you to collect all that data.
Yes, and then we look at your goals and kind of what's the best way to go about that. And so we look at what needs to go through the trust, what needs to go outside of the trust. And I did learn, and you said specifically, so when we come to you to get all of this laid out and properly documented and filed, you said that you need an attorney. Yeah, I recommend an attorney.
Separate from you is what I'm clarifying. Or is it separate from you for probate?
Oh, for probate. I do probate.
Okay.
But I usually do simple probate proceedings.
Okay.
But I'm happy to be a point of contact if somebody needs assistance. And if I don't take it, I can refer them to somebody else.
Okay.
Keep in mind, I only practice in Tennessee.
That's what I said.
So if you are outside of Tennessee, I can't help you.
Yes.
But only if I have clients throughout Tennessee. So even if you're in Memphis, Knoxville, I can still assist you. with getting your estate planning done.
Yes, because I asked about family members, and that's when I learned from you that it's very state specific.
Yes.
So she's here for Tennessee, but then we will have to find you, or you would need to find someone for your state specifically. So how much does this normally cost? It can range from
Estate planning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
depending on how detailed or...
Yeah, and I won't say my fees.
Yes.
Here. But just you can, if you're going to any competent estate planner, I mean, you can, expect to pay from, $1,500 up into thousands of dollars, depending on your trust, what you're going to do. If you're trust planning costs more money, depending on how complex your estate is. If you have 10 properties, that's going to cost more money, versus if you have one property. So,
But the benefit of, so what I've learned from you in past is the benefit is that you are proactively taking care of that, as opposed to waiting or not having a will and going through probate. So the pro of having this and paying that upfront cost is...
Yeah, because if you have to go through, if you don't do the planning and going through probate, you need an attorney for probate. And you're going to pay the attorney, at this point, $300, $400, $500 an hour.
Because then they are at that point collecting all of that information, and you don't know how long that's going to take. And she said $300 per hour.
Per hour.
Yeah, so
for a year.
And if you don't have all those documents in place, and then you got to go find mama's documents and get all mama's accounts or dad's accounts. But if you have it up front using her checklist and questionnaire, you can have all of that easily located all in one place and save yourself the time, the heartache, and some money.
Yeah, I tell people, do you want to do the work on the front end or the back end? So the front end is doing the planning. The back end is just dealing with it in probate.
Yeah, and then that's when all the emotions are high and so forth. So if you thought about estate planning and you have not done it, this is a good time, self-included. Because I have received her questionnaire in the hubs, and I do have to get together to get that done. We have our friend here, Kristal Boone of Boone Law, that you can contact, and I'll definitely put you in contact with her. I think that is all of the good stuff. We think we covered it A to Z a little bit, enough to get them started with all of the information that they may need about estate planning 101. And stay tuned. We'll have another buyer session where I will have my friend again. Look, maybe October-ish or what have you. So something fun about you, Miss Kristal. Oh, I know. I learned that my friend, I always like to do a little fun fact, a tip. She likes to bake.
I do like to bake.
Yeah.
I'm working on a cake right now for my mother-in-law.
What kind of cake are you baking?
A birthday cake. So it's a vanilla confetti cake with the strawberry filling. Yeah. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
As our first buyer seminar, I made the pumpkin spice with the cream cheese. She was like, send me that recipe.
Yes.
I love pumpkin spice and cream cheese muffins, right?
My mother-in-law just made some pumpkin bread too.
Ooh,
yeah,
it's
really
time.
good.
It's time for pumpkin spice. So thank you so much, Kristal Boone with Boone Law. I'm Yolanda Cox-Bey with the Moving You Home team, and this is my Summer Car Ride series, episode 7 for completion. Stay tuned for what's next. Thank you, little heart symbol. Yes.